Steelers offseason up next. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the fact that they were 9-8 last season is a miracle.
Credit to Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin did an amazing job. You look at the defense, it fell off. The weapons, Juju got hurt. Claypool, inconsistent. Big Ben, one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL last year. Offensive line, not very good. So a 9-8 team with free agents of Joe Hayden, Juju, Ebron, Akello Witherspoon, Trey Turner, Terrell Edmonds, Dwayne Haskins, even though he's a restricted free agent, and J.C. Hassenauer. I hope I said it right. Now, I'll just go first on this one, and I think that their linebacker play has to be better. Devin Bush was not good. Joe Schobert was not good. I think to create some cap flexibility, they can cut Joe Schobert and save $8 million. Zach Banner, also an offensive lineman that they have, they can save $4 million by cutting him as well. That would make their cap space $31.2 million. And the needs they have, right tackle, both tackle positions, linebacker is a need, cornerback is a need, safety is a need, and of course, quarterback, the most important position in football, is a need. So let's talk about quarterbacks first. You guys know I feel like they might be heavy players in the Jimmy Garoppolo sweepstakes.
As they should.
And I think Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't be a bad option for the Steelers. But there's also others. Mitch Trubisky, even though he's linked to the Giants. Jameis Winston is out there, but he might go back to the Saints. And you know how I feel about Jameis. I think Jameis is the best one out of all these guys, out of all these available. But they also have...
Jameis is number one?
He's the number one quarterback in this free agency, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one, though.
Real quick, over Jimmy G and Wentz?
No, I was going to say, and Mitch, your boy Mitch.
Yes.
All right.
Respect Jameis, man.
I'm just wondering.
I think he's in the same tier as these guys.
Biggest fan.
Now on to, I want to mention this last quarterback because I think he is going to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers. It's not going to be Jimmy G. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to start for the Steelers next season.
I don't hate that.
And it's not
Steelers fans probably hate
and
that.
I have no information on this. This is just a gut feeling thing. I think that just my conspiracy theorist brain is, going on here. Brian Flores is like, let's fight for, minority coaches and stuff. And they look at Teddy Bridgewater, who has been a consistent quarterback everywhere he's been and might not get the fairest shake. I mean, with Denver, he wasn't bad, even though Broncos fans blame him for not winning enough.
I don't. Just when
I think
you got the concussion.
I think Teddy Bridgewater, they give him a chance, and I also think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I think Jimmy Garoppolo and Teddy Bridgewater are in the same tier. People will probably prefer Jimmy G because of winner success, because of the winner thing. But if you look at it, like, Teddy B is he's safer with the ball. He can use his legs. I just think he's a safer quarterback. And for the Steelers, I think for the next couple of years, their identity has to be built off of defense like it once was. And Teddy Bridgewater, somebody who's not going to make mistakes, is a perfect quarterback to let your defense win games and you just manage it. I do think they'll draft Malik Willis, and I think that would be a great pick. Have him learn under Teddy B. That would be amazing. That would be awesome.
I think he'd last that long? Were they picking 19?
20.
20?
Yeah. They might have to trade up.
You think so?
Yeah, to get Malik. I think he's going to be the first quarterback taken.
Because you got to think Commanders at 11 are going to be in play.
Interesting. You don't think Pickett's the first QB off?
Maybe. It's between him and Malik. Right now, I was looking at the odds. Like, they're close. I think Malik was like minus 140 and Pickett was like plus 150. I feel like
if I'm the Steelers, it's not worth it to move up. I feel like I would rather take my chances, stay where I am. If the board falls the way it falls, I get a QB either way.
The Jets are in good position at 10. If a team wants to go jump the Commanders.
Malik Willis is a guy you can't pass up on.
He's a can't miss guy?
Yes.
Okay.
He has a big arm for sure. If you're drafting
him as a developmental quarterback, you can't miss on him.
You have to realize that you're going to sit him for at least a season at the bare minimum.
The talent gap between Malik Willis and every other quarterback in this draft class is humongous. It's enormous. It's gigantic. It's big.
All right.
Because of because of that,
It's a
I feel like
birthday
Malik
size.
Willis. It's earthly. Because of that, I think Malik Willis. He's easily going to be the first quarterback taken.
I think he will be too.
His arm is ridiculously strong.
Did you see that highlight they were putting up? I forgot who tweeted out. He threw the ball like he overthrew the receiver by like 10
overthrew him.
yards, but they're like, "Oh my god, Malik Willis's arm!" I'm like, it's incomplete. Come on.
It's just a pro day. I mean, it's just a draft.
I know, but still, like, why are we putting that highlight out?
You can't.
But I'm saying,
you
I
can't
think
praise an overthrow.
we all know quarterback is his biggest need, but outside of that tackle, I think Eric Fisher, Cam Robinson, Riley Reef, Mike Remmers, Bobby Massey, just some names. Corner, Verrett, Kevin King, Dante Jackson, Desmond King. Linebacker, Dante Hightower could be a guy. I mean, I think
Van Noy.
Yeah,
was just
Van
released.
Noy.
Facts.
Brian Flores is the linebackers
Yep.
coach for the Steelers. Hightower could be somebody that goes. Van Noy, I feel like he's past who he once was at this point, but Hightower's somebody who.
And Van Noy and Flores also had issues, so
That's
I don't
true.
know if they
That is
bring
true.
that in.
So Hightower can be one of those guys that brings stability to the defense, is
Veteran
the
leadership.
leader, kind of like what CJ Mosley was to the Jets. You know, he didn't grade out the best, but we knew his impact was great. And then on defense, just TJ Watt could be there. I mean, oh yeah, this now my hypothetical team for the Steelers. So Teddy B, Najee, Deontay Johnson, Claypool. I think they bring back Juju.
Really?
Ebron walks.
Juju's a big question mark.
I think they should bring him back. Freiermuth starts next year.
Stud.
Cam Robinson, Kevin Dotson, Hassenauer, Bobby Massey. And then on defense, TJ Watt, Steven Tuitt is back from injury, Tyson Alualu, Cam Hayward, Devin Bush, Dante Hightower. They should sign Dante Jackson to be their corner. I think that would be a great signing. Take a flyer on Jason Verrett, who we know when he plays, he's a very good corner. Cameron Sutton, they still have him. And Fitzpatrick, Edmonds, bring him back.
Think let Joe Hayden walk?
I think they let Joe Hayden walk. Yeah.
I feel like he played pretty well for them.
He did play well, but it's going to be an expensive price tag.
Yeah.
Understandably, he's been playing very well. Reason I don't think they bring back Juju is because they're the team for wide receiver development. You have Deontay Johnson who's come in and taken that leap into that next level of top 12, top 15 wide receivers in the NFL. You have Mapletron who has high upside. I do think that I like his game. I like his skill set. I think that he's a solid wide receiver 2 option. If I am the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know my history, day 2 is going to be a day that I look at to draft a wide receiver. You have guys like Sky Moore, like Joe mentioned a little bit earlier. Pickens could be there, ran a 4.47, and Dotson potentially could be there on day 2. It's not an absolute set in stone thing where I look at Juju, who is going to want his money. He missed a good portion of the season last year due to injury, but I don't think that it's one of those situations with the Steelers that's a priority for me, especially knowing the history of the
And
Steelers.
James Washington's also a free agent. He wanted to be traded early in the season. He's a free agent too, so he's someone who's probably going to walk. I don't think he's going to want to come back.
No, and I think James Washington goes to a different situation. I think that he actually would be an impact player for someone. I think he has those physical attributes to be a solid wide receiver option.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's anything more than like wide receiver.
Wide
3.
receiver, okay.
You think he's a 2?
I think he could be a 2. I think he really does have the physical attributes to do that, and his hands are very solid.
Yeah, it's hard in Pittsburgh because you have to
Deontay,
beat out Juju.
you have Claypool, you have Juju. He dealt with injuries basically all season.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a ton of needs. You mentioned a few of them, but it's going to be hard to really address all of them when you're going to have to pay Teddy Bridgewater, even though he's not the best quarterback. Quarterbacks are still going to get paid crazy. Like he's going to get $20 million at the minimum. I'm guessing.
You think so? You think he can't? I don't know. Maybe 15 to 20 million. Yeah, that's a price point, I guess.
What do you think Wentz is going to get?
Probably around the same ballpark, 15 to 20.
I think Wentz will get a little bit more. So, which is why I think.
But
20
Wentz
is
right now
perfect
is gearing towards getting traded.
correct.
More so than
True.
more so than
I thought he was
going
to get cut,
They can do both, but they'd save money either way. They probably would rather trade him to get something back.
but that's the thing. If I'm a team and I know that they're thinking about cutting him regardless, why would I trade for him? I'd wait till you cut him.
because then you don't have to fight with anyone to get him. He's just on your team.
That's
you do have to
true.
give up probably
Yeah.
a second or third round pick to get him.
But would you want to do that as a team?
If you're Denver,
Depending if you need.
if you want the quarterback, yeah, you go get him.
If I'm the Panthers, that's interesting. But go
it
ahead.
is. Yeah, I mean, just give
Panthers.
They just gave a second for Darnold. They want to try a second for Wentz too.
True.
Listen,
Darnold
they have to.
stinks.
I mean, they're another team that even though they're picking inside the top 10, could go for a quarterback. But back to the Steelers,
Facts.
quarterback is going to take a decent portion of this cap space away, right? With some cuts, they could be upwards of 30 mil, maybe a little bit more, but even still, you're probably getting half of that cut away just by signing a quarterback, even if it is a Teddy Bridgewater or someone cheaper. Mitch isn't going to command 15 million, but if he's going in expected to compete for the job, like you got to think he's probably going to get like 1 year, $10 million, something like that, if he has the potential to start, or maybe the contract is worth, something up to that. And I was a bit surprised you called Big Ben, one of the worst quarterbacks. 'Cause I felt like I said that earlier in the season. And when we were talking, I think when Joey was on the show,
I mentioned me. I defended him.
Or was it you?
Yeah, it was me.
I mentioned how bad Big Ben had been the last year and a half. I apologize, bro. I remembered incorrectly.
No, I feel like we were on the same page in the sense of.
No, I just said respect his resume. I don't care about what he's done recently.
I do. I know. But when you're looking at this team, and as a Steelers fan, because Steelers fans, they could blur, their vision can be blurred by just how great Big Ben was. Because he was, he's a franchise guy. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, their best quarterback ever. So I understand why people are going to be, Steelers fans especially aren't going to want to say he's washed. But he was been washed the last year and a half. Last year, he had the lowest yards per completion in the NFL. We saw that a ton when you have explosive receivers like Deontay and Claypool. You can't move the ball down the field. 25th in QBR. He had the 6th most attempts in the league. He didn't even have 4,000 yards. He had 22 touchdowns. So I think without a doubt, even if you do get a Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to be better than Big Ben. Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Big Ben. It's just at this point of his career, approaching 40 years old, you just have to call it how it is. He's been a bottom 5 quarterback the last year and a half. So I think Steelers fans, while it's sad to see Big Ben go, you should also be excited because you are upgrading at the position while still giving him his good, his goodbye. He said goodbye to everyone at Heinz Field. He got in the playoffs his last season. So it was a win-win, really. But the Steelers' offense is ready to win now. They have the pieces weapon-wise. They do need to upgrade the offensive line, but they have the running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. And we just saw this Bengals team with a bad O-line go to the Super Bowl. So even though all of football the last 100 years has said you need an O-line to win, the Bengals have kind of proven as long as you have the guys, and more importantly, if you have the quarterback, which the Steelers don't do, you can still at least be competitive. And the Steelers were with a bottom offensive line and bottom quarterback. But offensive line was another position you guys mentioned. They passed on a couple guys in the first round in favor of Najee. Najee had a solid season as a running back, but I think that's a much more replaceable position rather than getting a guard, center, or tackle. I was personally in favor of going offensive line in the first round. They want Najee, who I can't be upset about. He's going to be on that team for the next 5 years. He's going to be a top 10 running back for the next 5 years. He has pass catching ability. You could also give him the ball 25 times a game. So I'm not terribly upset, even though I would go another way. Trey Turner was probably their best offensive lineman this past year. He is set to be a free agent. I think that should be one of their top priorities to bring him back because they're already extremely, weak at that position as is. And I don't see them spending up on any of the top free agents. Like we mentioned, they don't have a ton of cap room. And it doesn't really feel like the Steelers to go and give a huge contract to a Teron Armstead or something like that. But at pick 20, if they don't go for a quarterback, that could be in, that interior offensive line range, like a Linderbaum or someone, they could go and really upgrade the line. Or unless they want to go with the tackle. I don't know if Charles Cross is going to be there that late. He's been getting some top 10 buzz. But even if they want to upgrade the tackle position as well, maybe that could go. A couple positions on defense. Let's go quickly. I think corner is a need for them. You mentioned inside linebacker. You mentioned as well as interior defensive line. They were the worst rushing defense in the league last year. Part of that had to do with Tua being out the whole season. So I think that's one other area as well. Because outside of Casey Hayward, they didn't really have much. Tua's going to be, he's going to be a nice additional piece, but he's also coming off a significant knee injury. I want to say he's in his late 20s, so I don't know if you could expect him to come back and just be the regular guy. So I think they need to get some depth there as well.
Quarterback is definitely a position I'm looking at too. However, I don't know if they're going to try and spend top dollar on a quarterback. Maybe they think about bringing in Tyrod Taylor to be one of those guys that can help groom their next quarterback heir apparent, whatever that word is. You have Malik Willis, who's right now projected to go to the Steelers, or even if they end up having a Pittsburgh reunion with Kenny Pickett coming into town as well. I think that they would rather have Malik be their quarterback for the future. But you look at Tyrod Taylor, that contract is going to be no more than $5 million, $6 million at the most. Then that'll
he's a starter too.
Correct. And that will allow you to fix other needs of your team. Like you guys have already reiterated, you need offensive tackles. You need you need these guard positions. This offensive line as a whole is abysmal to the point where Najee Harris struggled to get things going on the ground. Where he was most effective was in the flats, making his doing different type of routes out of the backfield. When it came to actually running the football, he struggled. He had one of the worst yards per carries in the NFL. But their primary focus outside of quarterback should be addressing this offensive line. And I think that if they're going to bring in Tyrod Taylor, I don't know that if they're going to spend a ton of money on pieces to fix this offensive line, because ultimately the top guys are going to want top dollar, and they don't have top dollar to spend on a sheriff, to spend on maybe you could spend some money, you could spend enough money to bring in Lincoln Tomlinson, excuse me. But even then, I don't know if he would be interested to come play with the Steelers. Ultimately, it's going to be a lot of drafting positions that they need. I think that if there was one position that they would spend money and actually bring someone in, it would be at the cornerback position. Bryce Callahan's a name that I look at, and that would be very intriguing to me, given the fact that he played very well last season. He's going to want a contract, and they're in position to bring one in. You're going to lose Joe Hayden. You're going to need someone to come in and take that spot over. I think Bryce Callahan could do that job, but there's ways that the Steelers could approach this situation this offseason that could still put them in position to be successful next season, to maybe make a potential wild card spot. And I think the best position for them to develop their future quarterback would be to bring in someone that's not going to be a financial strain on them, like you guys mentioned with a Teddy Bridgewater or a Jimmy Garoppolo, that's going to charge you upwards of $20 million, $15 to $20 million. I think that the smarter alternative would be bring in Tyrod Taylor. Bring in someone that's, you already know in your minds, this isn't our guy. He's complete.
Case Keenum, maybe?
There you go. That's a perfect name as well. A filler position for right now, that transition to your next guy is seamless.